If you was to ask me to summarize Sengoku Dynasty in as little words as possible, it would simply be Lumberjack Simulator 2023. In case you've never heard of Sengoku Dynasty, it's a open world simulation RPG village building lumberjack simulator. Wikipedia describes it some other way, but that's what I'm calling it. Now originally I was very excited to play this title. For one, it has Unreal Engine 5, and for two, it's the follow-up to Medieval Dynasty.
Dynasty.
Dynasties, asshole.
And that got good reviews. Not that I ever played it, but it still stands. But the best part was, I got a copy for free. So it cost me nothing. Except for time. My precious, precious time. Now, in case you can't tell from the tone of my voice, don't worry, I've been called monotone plenty of times. I wasn't happy with my experience with this title, and that's because there's a lot of things which are just simply wrong with this game. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy this title, and some people might think it's the next Elden Ring. We take on 2 pigs at once. Let's go, you dirty shit. Come on. Come on. I will fuck your mother. Ah! Yeah, that was short-lived. To clarify, this is not contender for Game of the Year. But listen, I need to get this video to at least 8 minutes long, so why don't we go over some of the reasons why you probably won't enjoy this game. But before we get started, just a quick reminder, if you do enjoy my content and you want to see more content like this, by all means subscribe. And also maybe throw me a like, because I'm bound to get ratioed on this video. So before I tell you why this game is so awful, I probably need to tell you what it even is about. Now, I don't want to go into the lore too much because honestly there's no voice lines in this game, which kind of annoys me, so there's a lot of reading. Essentially, your village has burnt down by the bad men, and now you need to rebuild your village and hope that they don't come back.
Yes, very sad. Anyway,
this game does have a tutorial at the start, but it's very lacking and not very engaging. So if you're like me, you'll just start to ignore the main quest and go do your own thing, thinking it's that simple. But oh boy, was I in for a surprise. But we'll come back to that. The initial premises is you want your village to be filled with people, and eventually they'll automate all the jobs around the village, like collecting wood, gathering food, all the fun stuff. And then you'll expand and, I don't know, become Emperor of Japan or some shit. Honestly, it's hard to imagine an end game outside of chopping wood. So it has all your basic survival needs, like you need to make sure you keep eating, you need to make sure you get sleep, and there will be, I use the word enemies loosely, that you'll need to fight. But all I found was wild boars, but we'll get to that point as well in a second. In theory, you can collect refugees who you can add to your delightful little village who will have different specialties and skills. Which sounds great, it sounds fun, although this system is also very much flawed. You can rank up your player and you'll get small perks, and also there's a co-op mode which I never got to play because I doubt I will find anyone who's willing to play this game with me. It's worth noting as well that this game is in early access. However, one of the biggest gripes I had with this game was the fact that it felt like the devs hadn't even played their own game yet, and that they were just throwing it out to the public without properly playtesting it. So without further delay, let me tell you everything I found wrong with this title. So anyone who's ever played a survival game before knows that there's a certain element of farming that is required. You can't simply have everything at the start. You need to go out and collect certain materials, certain resources, you know, just set yourself up for success. And naturally, the more you play, the more you level up your tools, the more perks you unlock, and the more resources you can actually gather. The fundamental idea is that the more you progress in the game, the more exciting stuff you get to farm. You don't have to bog yourself down with gathering like rank 1 materials. It's sort of the golden rule, everyone comes to expect this sort of gameplay. However, Sengoku Dynasty does not give a fuck about the rules.
When will you learn that your actions have consequences?
So how does Sengoku Dynasty do it, you ask? Well, 99% of all structures require wood. And to get that wood, you're going to need an axe. You start off with a stone axe, and that lasts about 3 or 4 trees, and then you're going to need another stone axe. And even if you upgrade to an iron axe, that lasts about 5 or 6 trees. So there's a very small progression when it comes to leveling up your tools. And better still, you can't repair your tools. There's also no extra perks so that you harvest more wood. It's just a constant grind to get fucking wood so that you can build your village. But wait, there's more. To make matters worse, the actual buildings that you create in your village take up so much resources. Like you need a lot of wood to create a basic house.
If you're homeless, just buy a house.
And this in itself is super time consuming. It will take you 5 or 10 minutes to go away, get the resources and build it. Maybe even longer. Maybe I'm underestimating it at this point because you just get fucking bored halfway through doing it. And yet it gets worse still. You can create storage boxes in your village which you can place in different houses, and the idea is these are globally connected. So if you place the same storage box in 2 different houses, then these resources will be shared globally. But what you can't do is when you're building a house, you don't have access to this box. So you have to have the resources on your person in order to make the fucking house. And guess what? You won't have enough slots on you to actually have all the materials, because it's very likely that your inventory is crammed full of other shit that you need just to stay alive. As I said, I've got 13 hours playtime in this game, and I'm pretty sure 11 hours of that was spent collecting fucking wood.
You serious?
Now, a lot of you might assume, well, maybe you just need to fill your village with villagers, and then the grindy stuff will go away. Ha ha ha, how wrong you are. After about 6 hours, I had 2 whole villagers. And the reason for that is because if you follow the main story quest line, you will eventually end up with an extra villager. What the game doesn't tell you is that if you go into the middle of buttfuck nowhere, you can sometimes come across refugees, and all you have to do is talk to them and they'll join your village.
These are Orkin, the town rapist. Naughty, naughty.
As I said, after 6 hours, I had 2 villagers. But don't worry, by the 11th hour, I had 5. Yippee. And how much do you think they sped up the whole harvesting process? Well, I'll tell you, absolutely fuck all. If anything, they cost me more resources because I had to keep feeding them to make sure they didn't die or whatever the fuck happens. And that's the thing, it's not even easy to set up your villagers to go and collect wood. And when I looked at it, the max wood they could get was like 5 logs. I mean, I could do that, and a lot fucking quicker than they could, because you have to wait a whole season for them to come back with the resources. So once again, pointless mechanic. Why am I bothering?
My emotions! My emotions!
And do you know what else is a fucking time sink? Let me tell you. Walk-in. The map itself is quite large, and by the way, you can't actually zoom in or out the map. I don't know why they didn't include this option, but great fucking game design. Love it. But anyway, back to walk-in. From what I can tell, there's no fast travel. You have to walk everywhere. And there's no mounts either. And the fastest way to actually walk is to fucking bunny hop. For some reason, you go super fast if you just run and jump everywhere. Actually, I take that back. You can in fact fast travel. You just have to commit seppuku. Or Sudoku. Sudoku? Seppuku. Seppuku.
Help me.
Either way, if you kill yourself, you spawn back in your village. And there's no punishment for it, there's no penalty. It's actually the fastest way to travel. Did I also mention that when I first started the game, before I turned down the graphic settings, it had a 15GB memory usage. Let me show. You'll see something funny? You see that?
What the hell is even that?
Which didn't really affect me because I have 128GB of RAM, because that's what I've come to expect when it comes to new releases. They all have memory leaks, and this game, no different. Did I also mention when it comes to combat, the biggest fight of my life was against wild boars? And even that was janky as fuck. And also, once you go exploring, because you will get bored of making a fucking house, there's nothing to actually see. Somehow they made this whole environment just feel very lifeless, which is great because that's how I felt after playing their fucking game. And I know I'm not alone on this because several people commented the same during my live stream. Some guy even uninstalled there and then because he thought, fuck it, I've had enough. And quite frankly, don't blame him. Now, I know a lot of people will rush to the defense of this game by saying it's in early access. And that's fine. But honestly, how did this make it to early access? They didn't even playtest their own game because they would have noticed these fundamental flaws within the first hour of playtime. At the time of recording this, there has been a patch released and it addresses one issue out of the several that I have. And that was, of course, that your weapons don't degrade as quickly if they're leveled up. Which is all well and great, but considering it took me about 5 hours to even get an iron weapon, I don't see this changing the new player experience anytime soon. I put a lot of hours into this game thinking it will eventually get better. Maybe I'm just a noob, maybe I just don't know what I'm doing. But the thing was, I had several people come in and help me, I did understand the mechanics, and I did get to grips with the whole building system and even how to make the villagers do jobs. But the fact is, it takes way too long to see any sort of progress. I don't think this game is dead in the water. I just don't think it's ready for early access. If anything, this should be in beta testing still. I don't think anyone should be parting money to play this game early. And on that bombshell, I'll end the video. By all means, if you've liked it, leave a like. If you don't agree with what I've said, comment below. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. And as always, feel free to subscribe. I'll leave a couple of videos on the screen for you right now which you might enjoy. And a huge thank you to my Patreon and YouTube members. You guys are simply the best. Bye for now.